We made it. 31 days of speaking my truth. But here's the reality. Every win, every milestone in healing often reveals a new layer to heal. Choosing to be visible this month was exciting and terrifying. And honestly, it activated all the old stories about the harm of taking up space. So, for this final episode, I am unmasking my own fears and what this journey really taught me. Now, before we dive into it, just a note on the survivorship journey and particularly around goals in the survivorship or in the healing of the survivorship journey or any focal points for rebuilding your life, right? They each and every single goal or focal point for a new thing, it challenges the nervous system, right? And it does this despite what I know on a logical conscious level. If I know logically and consciously I'm safe, or if I know logically and consciously the whole world isn't thinking about this, the whole world probably isn't even thinking about me. Even even when I know these things in my brain on a conscious level, on a logic level, pursuing goals, choosing to rebuild, it just does. It challenges the nervous system. And part of the reason why is that just the active pursuit, it activates shadows of old stories that I internalize, old stories from the narratives of the two-person cult. It's why that activation of old stories, and I say old stories because, like I said, on a logical level, I know that's not the truth, but it activates them. And that's why sometimes healing feels like setbacks. That's why healing feels nonlinear, because it seems like if these old stories are coming back up, it's like, damn, I thought I healed that. And there, one of my earlier episodes, I talk about, like, wow, I thought I healed that. Why, who are you and why are you coming up in here again? I thought I evicted this story, you know? And so I've come to recognize that in the pursuit of goals or life rebuilding, that these reactivations, they're not fully back in like a, oh, I'm back, you made no progress, which is one way I judged myself. I used to think, man, if this is back in my mind, if I'm worrying about this, I made all that progress I made is gone. And that's actually not true. I've come to realize there's sort of more of like a last gasp for air, so to speak, right? Excuse me, it's sort of like the, it's part of why healing kind of feels like iterative and like the just like the iterative nature, excuse me, of like resolving and releasing trauma. It's like the active pursuit of something that is in direct defiance of that old story. It just, any those last vestiges, those, the wisps and the shadows, they all come out through the woodwork. And I have a new relationship to this now. When this stuff kicks up, instead of being like, dang, I thought I healed that, or in like judging myself for taking a step back, I sort of relate to it as an opportunity to be like, oh, it's spring cleaning time now, huh? We're getting the last of them nook and crannies up out of here. And even if I have to spring clean on a sticky story or a shame point multiple times, that's okay because it's like it kind of gets better each time. And even if it comes back in an intensity I wasn't expecting, it's not, it's kind of just surfacing a new thing, which I sort of take that as like I now have this relationship with myself where when that comes up, I kind of experience it as like a win or a milestone in the sense that, like, wow, little Sable, there or some other part of me trusts me enough to let this be revealed. She believes that she is safe enough to allow this to surface and to enlist me in cleaning it out. And I'm so honored by that. It is especially as someone who, you know, is so much experience with dissociation, it's kind of a big deal to be like, oh, welcome, old friend, cousin, it's that person over there. Like it really is a win and a milestone to access something that was locked away for safekeeping, even though it doesn't feel good. And which brings me to which is why like wins and milestones, they're exciting to celebrate. And it's also why they reveal yet another layer to heal. And so with that sort of background, I'm going to talk to you about my new relationship with visibility with this 31 day challenge because I used to think of visibility as danger, like 5 alarm fire, shit is not okay, watch out, stay woke, all of that. And I now recognize that visibility is crucial for my expansion, like an expansion into the fullness of myself, expansion into wielding like my power, expansion into my purpose, um expansion into like the true scope and power of my gifts. Like they can't and shan't be contained. And that's sort of that understanding, that knowing is like I soothed and reminded myself leading up to and throughout this 31 day challenge. Um, because it did activate shadows of old stories about the harm that I would cause by speaking, existing, and taking space. And this old story, and this is despite what I knew on a logical level, but this story is old and it had damn roots. And then it grew into an invasive crop when I was with my ex-wife. Okay. Like I, you know, grew up feeling invisible. And I also grew up feeling danger from being seen, which is quite the conundrum, quite the tightrope to navigate as a child and to walk into adulthood with. And I, yeah, so I sort of it had this particular belief. It just had old bones and old roots that and it's like sort of it was sort of like the clearing out and it despite what I knew on a logical level. But this time the beauty of it, what really made it a shadow of a story, what made it a shadow of a belief is like this time I actually had receipts to back up why it isn't true. Like I would notice and observe that feeling and that fear. And I'd recognize, like, oh, and like I've just recognized the power of my words. Like I literally sit back and observe facts. I literally notice that when I speak to other survivors, I noticed when I went to support groups and I spoke to share my truth, to release myself from shame, like totally from a self-centered, totally driven from a place to heal my own shit. I noticed that whenever I did that, it happened to be healing for other people. And I have receipts on receipts on receipts of that happening over and over again to the point where I literally felt compelled to be like, I think I'm supposed to like use my gifts to share this like and even choosing to be visible, that decision was a way of honoring me. And I came to that conclusion because of all the facts and receipts around the how people react and respond to my words, and I saw power in that. um and so that's what, the shadows, they're doing what they got to do, but they're kind of, I'm not gonna lie, they're still there. But like, and actually, I'll get to that in just a second. But despite those shadows, let me tell you all the wins and I want you to snap with me, give it all the good energy. My wins, despite these shadows of stories, I chose to do the challenge. I let people know about the challenge. I planned out this challenge. I shared this challenge. I recorded all of these videos. I think over like maybe 15, 16, I forgot the exact number. I recorded all of these videos. I posted all of these videos. And I got to this video. Ah! I did that. Those are all of my wins, despite the shadows that kicked up. And that what's another win is like the shadows kicked up, but they didn't have power. Like I still did these things. And what I will say, what this win, like I said, this survivor journey is like you be having wins and milestones, and then bam, a new level of healing revealed. And for me, the new level of healing that is revealed is like, ooh, my next step is around self-promotion. Like, and it's self-promotion to grow this authentic community that you're a part of, right? Like it, and even saying it out loud, I'm like, oh, self-promotion, it feels like, oh, I know there's some sticky stuff around there. I'll figure it out and eventually do a video on it. Um, but yeah, I know that I wouldn't have realized that I need to work on this had I not had these milestones in spite of the old stories. And I know that under the self-promotion stuff is I I don't have it yet, but I need a new relationship to providing value. I need a new story to tell that because the story that I'm telling is like, oh, you're being scammy and like you're taking from people. It's kind of like another iteration of the harm thing, but a slightly more nuanced. That is like that's a thing I'm gonna need to figure out, right? In order to and it's like again, this is actually great. This new thing I need to figure out is tied to my next goal. It is tied to the next milestone that brings me closer to what I desire. And that's how I know I gotta do it. There's no if, ands, or buts about it. Another new layer to heal, which I did make progress on this like halfway through the challenge, but it's, the idea that done is better than perfect. And it's not just the pure perfectionism of it all. Like I recognize that the standard I hold for myself is simply it's not just about perfection. It's like I'm trying to honor what I care about by showing up at my best. Like I have respect for what I'm doing. I give a shit about it. And not only that, I understand its power. And I think the sort of pitfall that I need to detangle from all of that is how I think outcomes starts to get defined value, which is something is again, I know is not true, but that's not what my nervous system is saying. So there's some patience and exploration and stuff there. But yeah, that is like I did it. Ah, you're here with me. Ah, we did it. This challenge has been a journey of visibility, of choosing to show up even when it's scary. And I'm proud of me and I'm proud of you, because I know we've both done that, chosen to show up even when it's scary. And I'm so grateful that you were here with me in this. The best way to stay connected and see what's next is by joining my newsletter. The link is at the top of the description. This whole series has been an offering, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of it. I would be so very honored if you shared one thing in the comments that resonated with you this month. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next chapter.